Good morning. I'm going to share some words of poetry from William Blake, the visionary 18th century English poet and artist. These words were chosen by our amazing guest minister today, Michael Esselin. So, it is right that it should be so. Man was made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, through the world we can safely go. Joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silken twine. This is from Blake's Auguries of Innocence. According to my big book of symbols at home, that is the real title, the symbolism of the thread is basically that of the agent which links all states of being to one another. Well, any thread that can link all states of being together is a mysterious thread indeed. And this is our month of mystery. As we mark the longest nights of the year, as we mark the gradual lengthening of the days, as we mark the joys and sorrows of the year that's going, as we gather together to support each other through the year that starts tomorrow, in all these states, we can look for threads. As we gather our thoughts today, we can look for threads that hold us close in community. As we look inside ourselves today in prayer and meditation, we can look for the thread that makes us our own, one individual self through all our years. Inside ourselves, in the church, in our world, the threads of joy and threads of woe are woven fine. Come now, let us worship together.
Good morning. William Blake reminds us that under every grief and pine runs a joy of silken twine. In a way, our faith community here is that silken twine, weaving each of our individual threads into a cloth that just might keep us warm enough to find our way. So we light the chalice this morning to symbolize that warmth and the guidance that can come from that sacred cloth. Where did it go? Oh.
May God bless and keep you always.
Wow. Welcome, one and all, to the Unitarian Universalist Community Church of Santa Monica, a historic congregation meeting in this building since the 1930s. My name is Chayla Metzger, and I'm your worship associate today. I'm one of the many volunteers in the church that works to bring this Sunday service together, along with ushers, amazing musicians, the folks providing coffee and treats, those making sure the order of service comes to you, and the folks who make it possible to live stream this service. Their names are in your order of service. Thank you all, and thank you, the congregation, for being here. This is the last day of 2023. It takes courage to come to church today. It takes a bit of courage to turn off your cell phone. And please take a moment to do so now. I want to extend a special welcome to our guest minister, Michael Esselin, today. Michael he serves as the chaplain for the Sims Mann UCLA Center for Integrative Oncology, and among his many mission-driven, beautiful works of life, Michael is serving as a guest minister in this congregation for, I believe, the 23rd time? Yes. Please take a moment after the service to check out a table that's going to be outside with some of the CDs that you can purchase of Michael Esselin's amazing words. You can link on his website, michaelesselin.com, to his TED Talks and buy CDs there and read more about his work with the Weissenthal Center Museum of Tolerance and explore his work as an activist educator addressing anti-LGBTQ bias and more. No matter if you are here for the first time or have been attending for decades, we're so glad you're here. We're glad you're here in person and in our online sanctuary. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religious movement that is guided by principles which help us live a life we believe in community, in our spiritual practice, and in the wider world. As you can see by looking at the banners hanging around us, we honor the wisdom of many spiritual traditions, including humanism. Our principles encourage an individual search for truth and meaning. We honor the wonder of existence and believe we are all connected to each other and to the interdependent webs of life. Our beliefs are drawn from scriptures and science, nature and philosophy, personal experience, and ancient traditions. We are an open, affirming, and welcoming congregation, diverse in backgrounds, identities, spiritualities, and philosophies of life. We are united in our desire to create an inclusive, beloved community, to live the principles of our faith, and to serve the wider world. Whatever your beliefs or faith tradition, we invite you to help us build a multi-generational community here together in our diversity, where we make covenant in love and justice. We have a visitors table in the courtyard after the service, and you can certainly look on our website to find out more about our many social justice activities, meditation groups, committees, book clubs, art groups, and sharing circles. May you find comfort, camaraderie, and inspiration here. As we gather in this space and in our virtual spaces, we acknowledge that the ground beneath our feet and the water in that ground is the traditional home and traditional waters of the Tongva, Tatatvian, Serrano, Quiche, and Chumash peoples who care for these lands today as they have for generations. We honor their past, present, and future on this land. We are blessed with abundant church activities, too many to share them all. Please look on our website to find out more, but I do have a few announcements. January 21st in this sanctuary, noon until 1:30 after the service, there's going to be a chance to meet with the Adult Programs Committee to understand the important UU Association upcoming vote, a vote which proposes to change the way our association articulates our values. So that's going to be an important discussion. January 17th at 7 p.m. is the first Zoom meeting of the New Year's Resolution Workshop, which will meet monthly online. I don't know about you, but for me, keeping New Year's resolutions is a challenge. Friday, January 12th at 5:30, come to church for live music, food, and drinks in our first soulful sundown of the year. And that's the January 12th, that's a Friday night, and those are a lot of fun. There is a visitor meetup January 7th, next Sunday after the service, 11:45 to 12:15 over at the cottage. If you're interested in learning more about the church and meeting others who are also exploring, please consider going. For the month of January, the coming of age class will meet as usual in the Cottage Northeast room, cottage right over there, or in Forbes Hall classroom upstairs. So just talk to the greeters each week to find out exactly where they're going to be meeting. January is an exciting month for the cottage kids. January will be a month of service. Faith in action. There's going to be Children's Chapel next Sunday in the cottage. Then January 14th, the cottage kids are going to put together toiletry kits for those in need. January 21st, there'll be a clothing drive for those in need. And January 28th, the cottage kids are going to have a gardening day. Please bring by small-sized toiletries, clothing, socks, undies to the cottage to help participate in Faith in Action. There'll be more online about that and in other Sundays. Please, now we'll have our opening hymn.
Please rise in body or in spirit for hymn 1000, Morning Has Come. Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide your journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open your eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
You can remain standing as you're able for our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with each other. El amor es la enseñanza de esta iglesia. Buscar la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es la oración. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en la libertad, servir a la humanidad en comunión. Así es como convenimos unos a otros.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung.
If you have donations for the Westside Food Bank, we ask you bring it forward. Some of you already have, to place in our basket at this time. We have been partners in collecting food for the Westside Food Bank for many years. If you'd like to donate food, please bring items they use in large quantities like pasta, pasta sauce, and unbreakable packaging, please. Juice, granola bars, protein bars, breakfast cereal, and such. Our service to the world can be embodied right here each Sunday. All people, young people, and adults are encouraged to give. We will now receive this morning's offering. Today, after the service, we will share in the work of putting together lunches for bunches to take to our unhoused neighbors. That'll be happening out in the courtyard. It's fun and important work. Please join in. All right, you guys are all going to have to help me for this next part. I am going to do the time for all ages, and this involves some breath work and some body work, which our Reverend Amelia excels at, and I myself do not partake of as easily. So, we are going to, I will demonstrate this for you, and you can do this seated or standing, but this is a way to sort of say goodbye to the old year and give a little roar with the lion's breath into the new year that's coming. So, I will demonstrate this a couple times, and then I encourage you to make me feel better by doing it yourself. All right? So I am going to raise my hands and breathe in, and then make like a lion, and stick my tongue out, so don't be alarmed, okay? All right, you got that? This is the mane. You're sticking out your tongue. You're making a roar. Let's do it again. One more time. All right, you have successfully done the lion's breath. Thank you. We are going to sing our song of blessing, though I don't think we have any children to send out today, but let's just sing our song of blessing anyway, because it's nice to end the year this way. Thank you.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you as you go on your way. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you as you go on your way.
We don't have any specific joys or sorrows to share today. Please know you can call those in to the Pastoral Care Committee or write to folks about getting your joys and sorrows announced. And let's just take a moment to think about the abundant joys and the very significant number of sorrows all of us are managing in our lives, and how the world is managing today. And with that, I'm going to give it to our guest minister for our mindless, I hope it's not mindless, mindfulness, prayer, meditation, and silence.
I like the first one better. I invite us to close our eyes and get comfortable in our seats. And let's just take a few nice deep breaths together as we settle in to this time of contemplation. As we breathe and move into a time of silent reflection, let the words of Wendell Berry wash over you and seep inside. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work, and that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. As a reading this morning, I'd like to offer this from Parker J. Palmer. It's called Everything Falls Away. Sooner or later, everything falls away. You, the work you've done, your successes, large and small, your failures too. Those moments when you were light alongside the times you became one with the night. The friends, the people you loved, who loved you, those who might have wished you ill, none of this is forever. All of it is soon to go or going or long gone. Everything falls away except the thread you followed, unknowing all along. The thread that strings together all you've been and done, the thread you didn't know you were tracking until toward the end. You see that the thread is what stays as everything else falls away. Follow that thread as far as you can, and you'll find that it does not end but weaves into the unimaginable vastness of life. Your life was never the solo turn it seemed to be. It was always part of the great weave of nature and humanity, an immensity we come to know only as we follow our own small threads to the place where they merge with the boundless whole. Each of our threads runs its course, then joins in life together. This magnificent tapestry, this masterpiece in which we will live forever. It's a big joy for me to be here today and see so many faces, loved faces. Thank you. Sometimes when I'm getting acquainted with a new patient for the first time, I will often ask, tell me, what's a perfect day look like for you? Before you got sick, you don't have to work, you feel great, what would that day be? My intention is to find out in a quick and easy way what floats their boat, where they get their juice in life, where do they find their meaning? And it can often be a telling answer. Although sometimes I admit I sit in judgment, sadly, when someone fumbles for an answer. Oh, I don't know. Watching TV, I guess. Carl, newly diagnosed with lung cancer, had no trouble at all coming up with his response. Oh, watching my son play soccer and then taking him out for an ice cream. That answer reveals so much, doesn't it? I had a patient a few years ago, Casey, who for Christmas gave me a little spool of thread as a present, and it was wrapped up in a poem by William Stafford. There's a thread you follow. It runs among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread, but it's hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or they die, and you suffer and grow old. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. Such a disarmingly concise summation, isn't it? And it was such a tender and touching gift. Carl had no trouble at all identifying his thread. Would you? The older I get and the more time unfolds, I do find myself wondering if it's as clean as all that. Is that thread really unchanging? Is it really unbreakable? I thought I had a good grip on it, but then divorce happened, or cancer, or bankruptcy, or Parkinson's disease, or the career that seemed to define me, it vanished. My child died. Is it possible to find a new thread? Or do I simply redefine the old one? Or is it enough to just surrender into my faith in the idea that the damn thread exists in the first place? If the thread does exist, and I like to believe that it does, it can be an arduous journey to drill down and find it. Deciding what's true in my life, that particular spiritual distillation is a challenge that I find confronts so many cancer patients. If I can no longer be, do, or have what I once was, who would I be then? Do I even exist? If I'm no longer the super mom who never misses a soccer game or a birthday party, would I even still be the mom? And yet, when I do have a good grip on the thread, it can serve as a kind of guy wire stabilizing me in stormy times. But I also wonder if it might be conceived as not just a thread to run through my life or to run under my life, but something to wrap around my life, to hold it together, to give it some meaning, to give it some coherence, helping me to find a place to put all the disparate pieces of my puzzle that might need to be arranged and rearranged again and again because life demands it. But it's a process. My sister Terry was a pioneer in women's surfing, competing at the national level in the 1960s and 70s. She co-produced and co-directed the first professional women's surfing championship in 1975. She's even in the Surfers Hall of Fame. She's going to be 75 come August. She still loves to surf, though as you might imagine, it grieves her that she cannot do all the things that she once could, and certainly not as easily. But she was sharing with me that not long ago, she bumped into an old surfing chum from back in the day at the beach. And they were bemoaning this particular set of circumstances. And he said, "Terry, you know what I came to realize? It was always just about getting wet." I loved that. I thought it was about big waves and thrills and competing and winning. Maybe it was just about getting wet. Distillation. As an old former professional dancer, I confront a similar challenge every Saturday in dance class, coming face to face with the things I can no longer do. Although a number of years ago, I came to a different kind of relationship, or at least aspire to those limitations. I have never seen a dance performance that knocked me in the gut with more power and intensity than seeing Donna McKechnie in the original Broadway production of A Chorus Line at the Schubert Theater in New York City in 1976. It was a transcendent experience for this 21-year-old dancer. A number of years ago, Donna performed at a local AIDS benefit. She was maybe in her late 50s, early 60s at the time. She put on quite a bit of weight. She was wearing a big flowing caftan-like dress. She offered a highly abbreviated version of her tour de force from A Chorus Line, The Music in the Mirror. Oh, there were echoes of the original choreography here and there, hitting a line, an arm gesture, a head release. I sat in my chair and just sobbed. Not out of grief or sadness for what was gone or what was missing, but at the unmistakable beauty of essence. Her essence that had all been refined and distilled down. A beauty that might have even been obscured once upon a time by her youth and agility and technique. In some ways, it was a more potent and powerful performance than had she been dancing across the Schubert stage in that red dress in front of a bank of mirrors. Distillation. I'd been told that Keith had been a brilliant architect, very successful. But when I met him, glioblastoma had robbed him of all of that brilliance. That brain tumor took away the capacity to even compose a coherent sentence or find the appropriate word. But still, he loved to see me every week. For an hour we would meet. It was hard to have a conversation. But there was one sentence he used quite easily and often. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was so heartbreaking. It was as if his whole being had been distilled down to a sense of apology for not being who he once was. I finally had to say, Keith, one rule in here: no apology. No, I'm sorry. You're not letting me down at all. We don't have to have a conversation at all. If it's too frustrating, we can just sit and look at each other for an hour and smile and take hands, or we can meditate. But this needs to be 1 hour that you don't have to apologize for letting anybody down for being other than who you are. I didn't get to know him in the context of his brilliance, and yet I kind of fell in love with the guy. The simplicity of his smile, the gentleness of his heart, his tender spirit, that vulnerability. Distillation. While it can indeed be an arduous journey to drill down and find that thread, finding the meaning to wrap around our story is another matter altogether, particularly when we've endured some kind of loss or tragedy. Such losses often demand that we give up so much, namely our expectations of how we thought life would be, should be, could be, wanted it to be. I wanted so much. It didn't happen. Is it still possible to find a way to wrap that thread around my life? Sometimes I even have to give up hope that things will get better. In some circumstances, they won't get better, guaranteed to get worse. Is it still possible to find a thread to wrap around my life, to give it some coherence, enough coherence at least to take the next steps that life might demand of us? Last October, I got to take the most wonderful 2-week solo trip to Turkey. And there I got the most vivid reminder of something I've long held to be true. There's the thing, and there's our experience of the thing. And they are not the same thing. They don't always line up. They're not always congruent. Anyone will tell you that one of the primo sights to see in all of Turkey is the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. And it is indeed jaw-dropping. But on that particular Sunday morning, waiting in an impossibly long line, going through security, navigating the hordes of people once inside, my experience of the place did not begin to match the dazzling grandeur of the architecture. By contrast, I had a far more meaningful, potent, even tearful experience visiting an infinitely more modest 13th century mosque called Eşrefoglu in a teeny village called Beyşehir. The thing is separate from our experience of the thing. For over 20 years, I served as a co-chair and co-founder of GLIDE, Gays and Lesbians Initiating Dialogue for Equality. We were a nonprofit, all-volunteer anti-homophobia speakers bureau. And in those 2+ decades, I trained dozens and dozens and dozens of volunteer speakers. Each one had to compose their own coming out story to share at engagements. And I would often suggest to them, invite them to share with us your experience, not your story. Your story is just the facts. I came out to my mom when I was 16. Your experience is another matter. It might sound something like, for me, coming out to my mom was the big one because I stood the most to lose there. If my mom rejected me and I knew I could never take it back, I was so scared. Sharing our experience in a vulnerable, tender way, I believe, is the only way we can establish meaningful connection with the larger circles of life. Following that through line of experience through our story might, in fact, lead us to the thread, however we interpret it. And it's really worth noting we can interpret it and reinterpret it as many times as necessary. Sometimes it just might be required. Esther had been a brilliant art professor, scholar, academic, curator. She had the most illuminating and radiant spirit that when I first met her on her first day of chemotherapy, being treated for ovarian cancer, I was so captivated, I was ready to quit my job then and there to go back to school just so I could study art history under her. It was that infectious. After decades of research, scholarship, teaching, she was offered the chance of a lifetime, a dream come true. She was invited to curate a major retrospective exhibition of the German expressionist painter Max Beckmann at a world-famous museum. She'd worked her whole life, dreamt of this. But these exhibits need to be planned years in advance. Could she make that commitment, given her diagnosis? And as you might imagine, she wrestled with the idea, but Michael, if I make the commitment, maybe that'll be just the affirmation I need to heal. Should I take the job? What do you think? Sadly, her disease progressed and she needed to decline the offer, a dream squashed. We wandered through the rubble of her disappointment and we looked at what was the real essence of her gift and what had been lost. And had it been lost? Was it really just about recognition? Is that the only way her gift could be realized out there in the world? Was it really only about a world-class museum? Was it really even about the art itself? What if it was really always about her passion and her capacity to inspire, to give breath to countless others, to students, to me? One graduate student changed her whole major, her field of study, the subject of her dissertation after taking one class with Esther. That capacity to inspire could be her version of getting wet. That's the thread to wrap around an entire life, to give it some coherence, as disappointing and tragic as it was, but not without meaning. A few years ago, I read an essay in The Atlantic in which the author drew a distinction between obituary virtues and eulogy virtues. Obituaries often read like resumes, just the facts. He was born here, went to school there, got married here, had these kids, did this job. When you think about it, eulogies are a whole other matter. They often reveal a far more nuanced, multidimensional view of who a person was, how they translated their story out there in the world. He was a guy who always made me laugh. He was the one who'd show up to help you move or paint your living room. What do you suppose it would mean if we recalibrated our lives to focus on the eulogy virtues to which we aspire, rather than the obituary virtues, little boxes of achievement that we want to check off? Perhaps pursuing that line of eulogy virtues might lead us to that meaning that we crave to wrap around our story. You know how some people, myself included, God knows, will post pictures on social media of their beloved dog or cat, asking for prayers and good thoughts as their beloved friend is facing some life-threatening illness. And then in a few days, there's more pictures and a video as our friend shares their inconsolable grief of having had to say goodbye. It's so hard. You can taste their tears. You remember when it was your turn to face this challenge, or you have this sinking dread of what's coming just around the corner for you and your little fur baby. And then in another couple weeks or a month, there's a picture or 12 of an adorable little kitten or a puppy. Meet Oscar, everybody. Have you ever seen anything so cute in your whole life? I'm so in love. I wonder if the specificity of that little puppy or kitten matters at all. That what matters is there's this deep need, a longing to give away love. And this is the little guy who showed up, so we're just going to love each other forever, and that's that. I don't mean to dismiss or denigrate the uniqueness of each of our furry relationships, but this longing may be bigger than my beloved old cat, this new kitten, bigger than any of us. This bigger love may be the very thing that's at the end of all of our threads. The sweet, uncomplicated, uncompromising love I felt from my Grandma Ann certainly points me in the direction of my thread if it isn't the thread itself. She lived a hard life. Large Italian family, 10 siblings, abusive household, beaten regularly by her father. After one such beating, she'd had enough and ran away into the arms of the young man who would become my grandfather for no other reason than he was there. She was 15 years old. That marriage didn't work out too well. But my grandmother, undeterred, never stopped looking for love and places to give it away. She gave it away in abundance to her kids, to her grandkids, to her friends. My mom and I used to reminisce sometimes about what it was like to share with Grandma some loss or tragedy that had befallen us. And sometimes all she would offer was, well, honey, keep your chin up, dearie. It wasn't nearly as flip as it sounds. It was said with so much tenderness and compassion. In a way, it reflected a deeper, hard-won kind of wisdom that she would have been hard-pressed to articulate. A wisdom that might say, I know there's nothing I can do or say to make this any better, and I'm not going to insult you by pretending there is. But I do know that you have to go on, honey. And I know that I love you so much. And I want you to be happy, and I don't want you to hurt. So the best I got is keep your chin up, dearie. Sometimes patients will ask me for a prayer. And I will sometimes offer this. May we keep our hearts and eyes open to recognize blessings that we don't know we're looking for. May that be so. I don't know, though. We can hope, but in the meantime, keep your chin up, dearie. So be it.
This month, half of our Sunday offering will go to support UNICEF. UNICEF is an organization long devoted to caring for children all over the globe. When we give to UNICEF, we're not just giving money. We're giving that child and countless others like them building blocks of a brighter future. We're giving them vaccines. We're giving them schools where their mind can ignite and soar. We're giving them safe spaces where they can laugh, play, and simply be children. Dig deep, friends. Give generously. Let your contribution, however big or small, become a thread woven into the tapestry of a child's future. There are many ways to give, as you can see on the slide. In your order of service, you can also read about the ways you can text your contribution towards special funds in the church. For example, the fund that supports our amazing Reverend Amelia's work. If you are new or visiting or just don't prefer to give through technology, you can opt to drop cash or a check in the bags that are coming around shortly. Your energy and your gifts of time and attention in this community and beyond are amazing. Thank you so much.
Look at this face. I know the years are showing. Look at this life. I still don't know where it's going. I don't know much, but I know I love you. That may be all I need to know.
Look at these eyes, they've never seen what matters. Look at these dreams, so beaten and so battered.
I don't know much, but I know I love you. And that may be all I need to know. So many questions still left unanswered. so much I've never broken through.
And when I feel you near me, sometimes I see so clearly.
The only truth I ever known is me and you. Look at this man, so blessed with inspiration. Look at this soul, still searching for salvation. I don't know much, but I know I love you, and that may be all I need to know. I don't know much, but I know I love you, and that may be all I need to know. I don't know much, but I know I love you, and that may be all I need to know.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, which is 1020, Wo Ya Ya. We are going, heaven knows we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there.
Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, 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 yeah.
Maybe we should sit down and just close our eyes and breathe a little bit. Let's breathe in the love, the intention, the commitment of this community to come together and to connect. As we exhale, can we release the light and the radiance of our coming together, not only back to each other, but to the larger circles of life. As we move forward from here back into our lives, may we keep our eyes open for the thread, realizing at times it may be slippery, easy to miss, but it is strong. May it guide us always to the place of bigger love. So be it.
Wishing everyone a Happy New Year.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? For old lang syne, my Jo, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne.
And surely he'll be your pine stoop, and surely I'll be mine, and we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all.